Hey everyone, I'm Megan Teets, and this is Sorta Awesome. On today's show, I'm introducing you to one of my co-hosts, Rebekah Hoffer of simplyrebekah.com. In this episode, Rebekah is going to reveal to you the sort of surprising thing that she is always talking about. She also tells a story of a somewhat awkward, potentially unsafe situation that ended up with a happy ending when she met the man of her dreams. But first, we're going to kick things off with our Awesome of the Week. Hey, Rebekah. How are you, lady?
Hi, Megan. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I am so excited that we have finally made time to sit down and do this. So excited.
Yes, I have been waiting, and I can't wait.
Okay, before we even dig in, Rebekah doesn't know I'm going to say this, but I just want to let everybody know that if it were not for Rebekah, you all would not be listening to the Sorta Awesome podcast at this moment. Because a couple of things. First of all, when I first started to talk about starting a podcast, I had a couple of names in mind and I floated them out to some friends. And I got a lot of good positive feedback, and I had landed on one that I really liked a whole lot. And Rebekah was one of the vocal minority that kind of was like, you know what? I don't really love that name for you.
Yeah, I really did not like it.
No, I know. And at first that was hard to hear because I was pretty attached to the name I had settled on. But thankfully, Rebekah is one of those friends who will say the things that need to be said. And she and I talked through on Voxer. I don't know if you all use Voxer. It's a fantastic, amazing app, especially for extroverts like Rebekah and I who have a lot of words. Anyway,
I love Voxer.
Yes, we Vox a lot. We talked through it on Voxer, and Rebekah helped me think through tons of names and helped me settle on Sorta Awesome. So if you're loving the idea of Sorta Awesome, you have Rebekah to thank. If you think
You're
it's
welcome,
lame.
I guess. I was happy to help.
Yeah.
I have been very excited about this podcast. So
Yes.
sorry for my negative opinions, but I'm really happy with the new name.
Totally. Seriously, everybody needs somebody in their life who will be like, hey, you know what? No, I don't think so. That's not for you. And Rebekah's that person in my life. Seriously, I know if I need an opinion and someone that's going to tell me the truth, I turn to Rebekah. So speaking of Sorta Awesome, one thing that we are going to do on this show is we're going to open with a segment called Awesome of the Week. And each week, both I and the person I'm talking to will bring something that's sorta awesome that has happened to us, something that we've done, something we've listened to that we want to share with each other and share with you all. So this week, I'm going to let Rebekah kick things off with her Awesome of the Week. So tell us what you got.
I am ready. Okay, so my Sorta Awesome for the week is the movie In Your Eyes. Okay. I watched it on Netflix. It's also available on Amazon. You have to pay like $4 or $5. I looked that up if you want to watch it on Amazon.
Okay.
But the reason why I love this movie, it's a romantic movie.
Oh, yes, of course.
And the reason why I loved it is because there was a focus on this mental connection between the two characters.
Okay.
And let me explain the plot line a little bit.
Okay.
It's a little strange. Okay. And to be honest, it's some parts of it are a little bit lame because here's what it is. There's these two people who live across the country from each other.
Okay.
One's on the East Coast, one's like out west somewhere. Mm-hmm. And they have this ability where their minds are connected that they can see what the other person is seeing. Okay. And they can hear what they're hearing, and they can sometimes feel what they're feeling. Okay. So, for example, the one guy got like hit in a bar by somebody, and then the girl could feel that from across the country, and it like knocked her on the floor.
Whoa. Okay.
So kind of maybe a little lame, a little cheesy, right? So I was browsing through Netflix. I'm like, there's no way this movie is going to be any good. Like this is so far-fetched. This is just not going to be good. But it had amazing reviews. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll trust the Netflix community. So
which is a scary proposition. That can go either way on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I watched it, and I fell in love with this movie and I became so obsessed. And the more that I
Oh.
thought about it, the more I realized that it's all about the mental connection and how sexy that is.
Whoa.
Because
Okay.
here's the thing. This is my problem with most like romantic comedies.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
They go straight from like first kiss into the bedroom.
Right.
Or you might have like a period piece like from way back in the day and to, the leading lady and the man like look at each other from like across the room and then they share like 5 sentences and then he's asking for her hand in marriage. And I'm like, where did that connection come from? Like that just doesn't really work for me.
Okay.
And in reality, neither of those situations, the romantic comedy straight into the bedroom or the staring at each other from across the room, now we're getting married scenario, neither one of those look like my love story.
Right. Yes.
So the reason why I loved In Your Eyes so much is because it felt like this celebration of the mental connection and the build that naturally happens between two people as they're pursuing each other.
I like it.
And it felt like I was back in my dating days and like getting excited again about my husband and the mental connection that we had.
Right.
Now, we could not see like through each other's eyes.
Right.
I mean, that's like scientific weird.
Yes, I think we can establish that.
But I just loved that mental connection that it was celebrating.
That's awesome.
It felt so different to me.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Is it a recent movie? I've not heard of it, but I am completely out of the loop on movies.
Okay, so it's an independent film and it recently was released, but it was released straight to like online distribution. So it wasn't ever in the theater.
Okay.
So you can watch it on Netflix or you can watch it on Amazon. And I loved it. In Your Eyes. Okay. There are some parts that are like, oh, this is a little lame and cheesy. And I'm not sure I totally love the ending. But man, like seeing a real mental connection build between people, it's like worth celebrating your own love story.
Okay, awesome. I will put that in the show notes for this show so people can check it out. And I have to say, I'm intrigued.
Well, yes, most definitely. It's worth the watch.
Check it out. Now, did you watch this by yourself or did Nate watch it with you?
I watched it by myself.
Do you think that couples could watch it together, or is it more a chick flick genre?
Well, it's definitely a chick flick. Like, I think you got to know your guy. My guy, I think he would have liked it, but the like somewhat cheesy part about seeing each other, each other's worlds. I mean, that might be a little far fetched for some guys to be able to cling on to. So I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed it all by myself, but if the listeners watch it with a significant other, I want to hear about it and I want to hear how it goes over.
Yes, definitely. We do need follow up on that. That is so true. Okay, thank you. That is very awesome. I love it. I am going to check it out myself.
What are you bringing to the table this week?
Okay, Awesome of the Week also has to do with Netflix. So, I mean, I guess we can kind of agree that Netflix is awesome across the board. What did we do before Netflix? I mean, seriously.
I don't know.
Okay, so Netflix, House of Cards, original series. Have you watched it?
Have not watched it.
Okay.
Have not heard of it.
So Kyle and I have watched House of Cards. It is a Netflix original. We watched the first 2 seasons as they were released. I think we've actually watched all of Netflix's original productions. I'm going to have to double check on that. I don't want to lie to anybody, but this is one that we checked out specifically because both of us are huge fans of Kevin Spacey, who plays the lead in it, Frank Underwood, and his wife, Claire Underwood, is played by Robin Wright, who most people of our generation know as the Princess Bride. And she has had a wonderfully and wonderfully celebrated, remarkable career since then, since The Princess Bride. So it's a political story. We watched the first few seasons. It kind of shows Frank Underwood, Kevin Spacey. He is not a good dude. He is a politician from South Carolina. And we watch how he navigates the political landscape in Washington and all of this sort of like dirty, backhanded, and just like the gross underworld of Washington that probably is pretty true.
Yeah.
And so you watch him through the first 2 seasons as he sort of on his trajectory to power. Well, by season 3, which Kyle and I just watched this past week, and that's why it's the awesome of the week for me, he has, all of his political conniving has paid off, and he is in the White House. So it follows Frank and Claire as, you know, as he has taken over in the White House, and all of the different things that he sort of, all of the seeds that he has planted along the way, both good and bad, and a lot of bad, are really coming to fruition. The first 2 seasons, I have to say, I was not like totally in love with it. I thought it was fantastically done. I feel like Netflix does a great job with all of their originals, but it wasn't like something that I was going to just go on and on talking about how much I loved it. Season 3 was amazing. And it's interesting that you were talking about relationship dynamic in your awesome of the week with that movie, because what I really liked about season 3, and it's one of those things where the more I think about it, like we finished it a few days ago, but the more I think about it, the more I love it, because it really looks at the marriage between Frank and Claire, what it has been in the past, and what being in the White House does to their marriage. Some things,
interesting.
Yeah, it's super, super interesting. Some surprising things happen. And it's one of those things where, I don't know if you feel this way, because I know you have done a couple of Netflix binges where you just watch a series all the way through.
Oh, honey, yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, I wish I could talk to somebody about, I need to talk about season 3 of House of Cards right now. I just finished it. But the thing about Netflix, you were talking about Netflix community, is like everybody's watching different things at different times. And you don't want to like put on Facebook anything that would spoil it for anybody. But at the same time, I feel like I need to have a major debrief with somebody. So if you are out there listening and you have finished House of Cards through the end of season 3 and you want to talk, let's figure out a way to talk about it, because I have many thoughts on season 3 of House of Cards. That is my awesome of the week.
Well, question for you. Do you feel like you need to have a natural interest in politics or how all that works in order to appreciate the show?
Absolutely not. Although it's hard for me to say that, because I do enjoy a good political thriller. I do. I enjoy even just like, I don't know, do you watch Scandal? It's sort of
I've seen it like flipping around.
Okay.
But
it's centered around White House politics too. I don't know. Maybe I do like it more than I would have ever thought that I did, because now I'm thinking of several things like The West Wing. I really liked that. I don't know that you would have to really be into politics so much as just, character study. Like I said, Kevin Spacey, and really to some extent his wife, she's not necessarily like morally bad like he is, but she is very cold and very calculating. Both of them are. And so just watching how all of that, like I said, just the fruits of all of that play out in season 3, super interesting, just in terms of human storytelling. So,
okay. Well, I will have to add that to my next Netflix binge list.
Yes, it's good for binging. It is. It is. Okay, so in the future, what we're going to do in our second segment of the show is take questions from you all, the listeners, and I'm going to tell you at the end of the show how you can get those questions to us. That we will be doing our best to give you some awesome answers for. But since we don't have any questions from you to answer yet, and because I want each of you to really get to know your co-host team here at Sorta Awesome, I have started out with some questions for each of my co-hosts. So we're going to move into the Q&A segment, and this Q&A is focused on Rebekah. So, Rebekah, I would love to hear from you. First of all, just give us a rundown. Could you give us your life story in about 5 minutes or less?
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
I grew up in Ohio in a Christian home on a farm. I have 2 siblings who are 10 and 12 years older than I am.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that had a little bit of an interesting dynamic.
Yes.
The baby of the family by extreme.
Okay, I don't think I ever knew that about you. I knew you had siblings, but I did not realize that age difference was there. That is so interesting. Okay,
yeah, and I feel like that really does make a difference in how you grow up.
Yes.
So, I spent a lot of time playing with imaginary friends, doing song and dance shows for imaginary audiences, things like that. And then, moving into high school, I got involved more in theater. moving away from imaginary audiences to real audiences.
Real life audiences.
Real life audiences.
Yes.
Really fell in love with theater. That's also when I went on my first missions trip. My parents and I, we went to Honduras for a little bit of time to work with people in a dental clinic to help people with their dental and health needs there. That's also where I had my first kiss. Just an interesting factoid about me.
Was it somebody on the mission trip with you, or was it one of the?
He was like local staff.
Oh my goodness!
I know, scandalous,
exciting.
Right?
Yes.
Scandal. I'm terrible. Anywho,
kissing for Jesus is what Rebekah wants you to remember about her life story.
Exactly. I'm such an example. Okay. Then I went to a private Christian college in Virginia. And
what that's where that? Do you feel like you can tell us?
I went to Eastern Mennonite University.
Eastern Mennonite University.
Yeah, I grew up in a Mennonite home. Okay. But now, see, there's different kinds of Mennonites. There's like the Mennonites that dress in very conservative clothing, wear like bonnets and stuff. And then there are Mennonites who look like me, which is
more mainstream culture.
Exactly. Exactly. I was going to say normal, but that's a really like egotistical way of describing how I look. So I went to that Christian school, and one of my first most important memories of that college, my freshman roommate and I, we went walking one day through the campus trying to meet people and just get familiar with the campus. And there was this guy hanging out his window of his like first floor dorm room. And he was playing guitar, which he did not know how to play.
Oh, wow.
And making up songs and beckoning to anybody walking by to come crawl through his window. And my roommate and I, being the naive new freshmen that we were like, okay, we're trying to meet people. So we crawled through the window.
Well, that was the safe thing to do, for sure.
Well, it's a small community and Christian college there. So it was fine. But the room was filled with this awkward collection of guys that for some reason seemed like they were all a whole lot taller than me. I'm like 5'2", and I just remember there being very loud music. It was kind of dark, and there was a lot of really tall guys in that room. And I was like,
I feel concerned for freshman Rebekah right now.
Well, it was awkward more than anything. Not a very good environment to like get to know people. You can't hear anything.
Right.
And you can barely see anybody. So anyway, my roommate and I left. But the highlight of that story is that I ended up marrying the man that was beckoning me to crawl through his window.
Oh my goodness.
And my roommate also married a man that was in that room.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
So, moral of the story, take a chance, crawl through the window, you might meet your mate.
That is the key to getting your MRS degree.
Be open to window crawling. I'm so glad that story had a happy ending, because that could have gone south really badly.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was a pretty tame campus, but it definitely was strange. So then the rest of my college was spent studying video production and theater, more traveling around the world. I did a ton of traveling in college, some because of requirements with my college, some not. And I just fell madly in love with my soon-to-be future husband, Nate.
Yes.
So after college, I moved to Pennsylvania to be closer to Nate and his family so that we could spend some time dating close together, because we actually spent quite a bit of our dating time apart doing long distance.
Oh,
because
that's no fun.
It was not fun at all.
Right.
He did a lot of international missions. I was doing a lot of international travel, and I think we spent, by our 2-year anniversary, we had spent a year and 6 months apart from each other.
Oh gosh, that's hard.
It was hard. So I moved to be closer to him, and eventually we were engaged, got married. I started working for a travel agency, which was a nice office job, but I felt like my creativity was dying inside, and I was desperate for a change.
Yes, I can see how that would stifle the creativity right there. Yes.
Oh, help me. So I started working for a professional theater in the area, and I worked backstage there.
Okay.
I actually worked in the catwalks during the shows.
Amazing.
And so I still own a ton of black clothing from that.
I bet you do.
job.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I worked there until I had Grace. So
Okay.
even at 9 months pregnant, I was like up in the catwalks, moving around.
You are a rock star. Yes.
Oh, I'm totally a rock star.
Totally.
So after Grace, my daughter was born, I became a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
And I really started missing the outlet, my
Sure.
extroverted self of like
Yes.
talking to my coworkers, expressing my opinions about things, sharing all of my wonderful knowledge about things.
Yes.
And so I decided to start a blog to start spewing all of that somewhere else.
As you do.
So
all of us have.
So I started writing at simplyrebekah.com, and that's where I focus on like natural living tips, how to save money on things,
Yes.
and general parenthood things.
You're good with the frugal stuff, frugal hacks. You're
I'm
good
frugal
with
to the core.
You are.
It's like naturally like part of me.
Yes.
So it's just kind of the way that I'm wired. I hate to spend money. So, over the past several years, I've been working to grow that. My husband, Nate, is the director of a homeless shelter. And these days, we're spending all of our time navigating the joys and challenges of raising little ones.
Yes. You have another child too, right?
Yes. After Grace, we have Noah. So Grace now is 5.5, and Noah will be 3 next month.
Little sweethearts.
Oh, they're darling.
You can say that because they're napping, right?
Right, exactly. So, I've learned that like I'm the happiest when I'm being creative, and I always thought that would be me like on the stage, but I'm learning more and more these days that doesn't necessarily have to be through acting, but that I also can grow my inner creative self through my blog and my writing and my photography, and even just like coloring with my kids and reading storybooks to them. So that's what I'm working on and embracing.
Totally. I love it. That is a fantastic life story. And I have to say, of all of the stories I've heard of how I met my spouse, yours is in the Hall of Fame. That's pretty fantastic. In fact, didn't you wrote a whole series on your blog about it, right?
I did.
Do you think we can grab that link for the show notes in case somebody wants the more than 5-minute version?
Most definitely.
Awesome.
Yes. I'm biased, but I think we have a pretty unique love story with the window,
with the window and the guitar,
and all the traveling and how all that worked out. So yeah, I love my love story.
Okay, we're going to pop that into the show notes for sure. Okay, next question for you. And you kind of maybe hit on a little bit of it in finishing up your life story there. But what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing just in personal life right now? Personal, professional, just whatever. What are some of your challenges that you're facing at this moment?
Well, I would say a big overall struggle is always balancing the work with the blog and life, and my husband and I feeling connected amongst the chaos of the kids and his lone hours, and I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I would say like a really specific current struggle of like today is just trying to learn how to discipline my kids.
Yes.
And how they're so different. Grace has always been so eager to please and so eager to do the right thing and responds very well to pretty mild forms of discipline. And then there's Noah.
Yes.
And then there's Noah. And
that sounds exactly like my oldest too. Yes.
Oh, well, then you need to teach me, girl, because I discipline him and he just screams at me, "Stop it, mommy." And he's just like not impressed. And he does this thing where like he's hitting now when he's angry.
Oh, the hitting stage.
Oh, please. No, you can't do this. I mean, he's 2, but like, discipline just it's never fun. And then trying to, okay, well, let's figure out, does this method work or this method? Yeah. It's a struggle.
Gotcha. I mean, those years when the kids are little and it's like all day, every day, hands-on, like correcting and encouraging and redirecting and all of that, it is exhausting. So yeah,
It really can be.
I can see that that would be the challenge of the moment. So I hear you on that. And staying connected amongst the chaos, for sure.
Amen.
Yes. Okay, one more question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Too bad I have you trapped. You must answer. So I think all of us, on a very human level, have a thing that we're really into. Like we dig it so hard. And once you get us started talking about it, it's hard to get us to shut up. Anybody who knows me knows one of my things is personality type stuff. I love to talk about it, especially Myers-Briggs stuff. I think everyone in my life probably rolls their eyes so hard once I start going, well, that is actually really appropriate for your type. My husband, bless his heart.
I think that's so fascinating. I love when you go on your little tangents. I've learned so much from you.
I do go on a tangent. I sure do about it. So anyway, to take it back though, to talking to you, what is something in your life that you're just always talking about, that you dig so hard, and that you're always, you always have a lot to say to the people around you about it?
Well, I think the easy answer would be my blog or my kids.
Sure. Yeah.
Yada, yada, right? But what I really love is if I can find someone to talk about reality TV or YouTube. And the sad thing is, this is like going back to your House of Cards problem. Like, nobody cares about the reality TV show that I'm into. And so I'm like just silently obsessing in my mind, like wishing I could spew all these thoughts out about The Bachelor.
The Bachelor.
The Bachelor.
Poor Rebekah. She's tried to talk to me about The Bachelor, and I'm not into it.
Or Big Brother. Do you watch Big Brother? Oh,
don't.
Megan.
No, I feel like I miss. Here's the thing. You're younger than me by quite a few years, right?
Well, not that many.
I'm 37. But how old are you? You left that out of your life story.
I'm 33.
Okay, see, now I really do. I feel like that is a big enough span of time. I feel like with Big Brother especially, I just missed the cultural boat on that. I feel like people that are younger than me love Big Brother. It's been on for a long time, hasn't it?
It really has. I've watched every season except for the very first one. And I think this was like season 16 this past summer or something.
Gosh, wow. So obviously, a lot of people still dig it. How can you not find anyone to talk to?
I don't know. The next time I make a new friend, I'm taking applications. You must be into The Bachelor whole franchise, Big Brother. You got to watch really dumb YouTube videos with me. I mean, I need that outlet.
Yes.
It's so ridiculous. Nobody cares. But for some reason, I just really do.
Now, I'll tell you what. Now, I'm not into The Bachelor or Big Brother, but you have brought me over to the dark side of YouTube. Okay. Mm-hmm. I only have you to blame and also thank for that. Because you, one YouTube channel, I don't even know how to use the right vernacular here.
Channel.
Okay. That I love so much that I actually watch with my girls a lot now is Rhett and Link. Do they have a name for their show? We just call them
Mythical. Good Mythical Morning.
Yes. Good Mythical Morning. I should have brought that for my Awesome of the Week because my girls and I love it. We watch it together. It's family friendly, which a lot of stuff on YouTube.
It really is.
That's funny is not so much stuff that you would want to watch with your kids, as you and I have discussed. But Good Mythical Morning is amazing. And the girls will pop off with all of this like trivia and all kinds of things. I'll be like, where did you learn that? They're like, Good Mythical Morning.
That's funny. Just this morning, I actually was watching it in bed with Grace before we crawled out of bed.
Yes, it is so funny.
She doesn't always get it. I mean, Grace is 5, so there's some things that like she doesn't quite get.
Right.
But it's safe and they're entertaining and energetic and it keeps our attention.
Yes. In fact, I had to take the girls to the dentist on Tuesday and they didn't have like side-by-side appointments. They were back to back. So Daisy had gone and gotten her teeth cleaned and checked and all of that. And then we had to wait for quite a while they did some stuff with Eliza. And she's like, can I please watch Good Mythical Morning on your phone? And so we just sat there in the waiting room and we were just giggling to ourselves. We were watching one, I think it was one of their Will It Donut episodes where they put ridiculous...
love their food challenges.
Oh
Will It Donut? Will It Pizza?
Yes.
They are the best.
So funny. And see, I feel like I am the last person in my family to come around to YouTube. My husband has his channels that he loves to watch, his things that he's into. The girls definitely do. They love, I've told you this before, they love to watch like Minecraft gamers, and that has kind of expanded into other gaming. I Has Cupquake is their like person they love so much. I know you're like, oh, yeah.
Well, those gaming channels, like they're really popular, and it's just crazy. I mean, you can find anything on YouTube. Like you really can.
Anything. That is what I did not realize. I thought YouTube was mostly just like America's Funniest Home Videos type stuff. Like people filming themselves.
Funny cats.
Yes. Doing stupid things, funny cats, babies falling down, whatever. And then they put it on YouTube. For a long time, I really and truly thought that's what it was until my husband and my daughters started getting into it. And I was like, huh. And so anyway, bringing it all back. Rhett and Link, Good Mythical Morning. That is something that that we've been enjoying so much. So all of that is to say, you need to keep up your evangelism for YouTube because there is stuff out there.
Yeah, or I need new friends or something. I don't know. I need an outlet to talk. Yeah, clearly I'm going to jump to that conclusion. Okay, that's the answer to my problem is that I get all new friends. Sorry to any of my real life friends who may choose to listen to this.
In the meantime, your real friends are like, thank you for that.
I would love you more if you watched Big Brother.
Yes. That's awesome. Okay. I think that was all I was going to ask you. Yes, I'm pretty sure that was all I was going to ask you. That is super informative. And if you're listening and you also enjoy the YouTube or The Bachelor and Big Brother, you're going to want to find Rebekah because obviously the woman needs someone to talk to about these things.
Please. I will be taking applications for friendships. You may email me.
Rebekah, speaking of people tracking you down to talk about these things, where can we find you on the World Wide Web? Where's the best place to hook up with you?
Well, I am Simply Rebekah everywhere. My blog is simplyrebekah.com, and then you can find me there on Facebook and Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. But Rebekah is spelled Rebekah.
That's right. It's a little tricky.
A little tricky.
Yes.
I think if you would search for it, the traditional spelling with 2 C's, I think you would still find me. But it's with a K-A-H.
With a K-A-H, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sure you've probably not had to spell that a million times in your entire life.
I have to, and my last name. I have to spell my last name too, which is not Hoffer. It's not that. It's exactly how you would think that it would be spelled, but people are like, I'm sorry, what? Huh? Because it's just not that.
Since your spelling is a little untraditional, do you ever get mispronunciations? Like people look at it and they don't recognize that it's Rebekah, or do people generally figure that it's Rebekah pretty quickly?
I think they figure it out, but I've had a lot of like strange misspellings because people know that it's not the normal way. Yes. So they spell like all kinds of ways, like with 2 Ks or like a C and a K and like H's in different places.
Random H's thrown in.
Yeah. So it,
No, I get that totally. My first and last name also are a little tricky on the spelling. Megan, I think is like the simplest way to spell Megan, M-E-G-A-N. But the pronunciation throughout my life, I have had so many people call me Megan, which is the one version of my name. And apologies to any Megans who are listening. It's lovely, but it's so different from, to my ear anyway, it's so different from what my name actually is that it really bothers me.
Megan.
Yes. Megan. And of course, my last name's kind of a nightmare. So I find that I spell first and last name. I don't even wait for people to ask anymore. I don't
either. You just got to go for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you are Simply Rebekah with a KAH.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the blog. And
Right,
then
that's
we can
correct.
just find you anywhere on the web from there.
Anywhere and everywhere with Simply Rebekah.
Okay, well, I'm going to totally put that in the show notes as well. Anything else that we need to disclose about you, or something that people need to know?
I don't think so.
Okay, I think we've kind of covered all the ground. I mean, I feel like when you tell people your life story, you kind of...
Yeah, there's really nowhere else to go from there.
Really. Okay, and I definitely am going to link to the love story as well, because that is well worth the time to read it. So
fantastic.
Okay, awesome. I am so thankful that you are joining me in this, and I'm so thankful that you have been behind the scenes, both cheerleading and booty kicking me along the way.
Well, it's been fun. I've
to
loved
get this
it.
show up and going. So thank you for joining me in this. I'm so thankful.
Thank you, Megan.
Okay, we will talk later.
Bye.
Bye. So everyone, thank you for joining us here at Sorta Awesome. Just as a reminder, you can head on over to sortaawesomemegan.tumblr.com and click on the Ask Us link to submit your questions for us to answer in an upcoming episode. Some areas Rebekah is particularly knowledgeable about include frugal hacks for family life, breastfeeding, cooking family meals, especially freezer cooking and other frugal cooking tips, as well as all things reality TV. You can follow the Tumblr for updates on the show or sign up for the mailing list at tinyletter.com/sortaawesome. As always, special thanks to the band Prager for allowing us to use their incredible song Strut for our in and out music. Check out the show notes for more information on Prager. And I'll meet you back here next time as we explore, discover, and discuss all the things that make life sorta amazingly awesome.